What if you didn't have to work until 65? What if the math actually worked out so that you could stop working in your 40s or even your 30s and never have to take orders from anyone again for the rest of your life? That's not a fantasy. There are tens of thousands of ordinary people, teachers, engineers, nurses, accountants, who have done exactly that. They didn't win the lottery, they didn't start a company that went public. They followed a specific financial framework called FIRE, and they got out decades ahead of schedule. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how FIRE works, what the math looks like, the different variations that fit different lifestyles, and the honest trade-offs nobody talks about. Let's get into it. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. But the name is a little misleading, because for most people who pursue it, the goal isn't really to stop working forever. It's to reach a point where work becomes optional. Financial independence means you have enough invested assets that your portfolio generates enough passive income to cover your living expenses indefinitely. You no longer need a paycheck to survive. Whether you choose to keep working, start a passion project, travel, volunteer, or do absolutely nothing, that's entirely up to you. The retire early part just means you get there before the traditional retirement age of 65. Some people hit it at 55, some at 45, some extraordinary cases at 35. The timeline depends entirely on one variable: your savings rate. Here's where it gets interesting. The entire FIRE framework rests on two pieces of math that are remarkably simple once you see them. The first is the concept of a safe withdrawal rate. Research going back decades, most famously the Trinity study from 1998, found that a retiree who withdraws 4% of their portfolio per year has an extremely high probability of never running out of money over a 30-year retirement. The portfolio keeps growing fast enough through market returns to replenish what you take out. This is called the 4% rule, and it gives us a simple formula for calculating your FIRE number, the total amount you need invested to retire. Your FIRE number equals your annual expenses multiplied by 25. That's it. If you spend $40,000 per year, your FIRE number is $1 million. If you spend $60,000 per year, it's $1,500,000. If you spend $80,000 per year, it's $2 million. The second piece of math is your savings rate, and this is what determines how fast you get there. If you save 10% of your income, it takes approximately 43 years to reach financial independence. That's the traditional retirement path. If you save 25%, it takes around 32 years. If you save 50%, it takes roughly 17 years. If you save 75%, it takes about 7 years. The relationship between savings rate and years to retirement is not linear. It's exponential. Every percentage point you add to your savings rate doesn't just save a little more money. It simultaneously reduces your spending, which lowers your FIRE number, and increases your investment rate, which builds your portfolio faster. Both levers move at the same time. This is why FIRE is achievable for people on ordinary incomes. It has almost nothing to do with how much you earn. It has everything to do with the gap between what you earn and what you spend. As the FIRE movement has grown, it has split into several distinct approaches. Understanding which one fits your life is important before you commit to a path. Lean FIRE is the most aggressive version. You retire on the absolute minimum, typically a portfolio of $500,000 to $750,000, and keep your annual expenses extremely low, often under $30,000 per year. It's the fastest path, but requires the most lifestyle sacrifice and leaves the least margin for error. Fat FIRE is the opposite. You don't compromise on lifestyle. You keep spending at a comfortable or even generous level, $80,000 to $150,000 per year or more, and you build the larger portfolio to match. This takes longer and requires a higher income, but you retire with the same quality of life you had while working. Barista FIRE is the middle ground that most people land on. You reach partial financial independence, enough that your portfolio covers most of your expenses, and then you do a small amount of part-time or enjoyable work to cover the rest. This is arguably the most realistic and sustainable version for most people. Coast FIRE is a unique variation. You invest aggressively early in your career, enough that if you simply leave it alone and never touch it, compound interest will grow it to your full FIRE number by traditional retirement age. Once you hit Coast FIRE, you only need to earn enough to cover your current expenses. The future is already taken care of. Here's what the actual path looks like in practice. Step 1 is calculating your current annual expenses. Not what you think you spend, what you actually spend. Pull 3 months of bank and credit card statements and add it up. Multiply by 4 for an annual figure. Step 2 is calculating your FIRE number. Multiply your annual expenses by 25. That's your target portfolio size. Write it down. Make it real. Step 3 is calculating your current savings rate. Take everything you save and invest each month and divide it by your gross income. That percentage tells you exactly where you are on the timeline. Step 4 is closing the gap. There are only 2 variables, income and expenses. Cutting $500 per month from your spending doesn't just save $6,000 per year. It also reduces your FIRE number by $150,000. Step 5 is investing the gap. Every dollar of the gap between your income and your expenses goes directly into low-cost index funds, primarily in tax-advantaged accounts like your 401k and Roth IRA first, then in a taxable brokerage account once those are maxed. FIRE gets a lot of criticism, and some of it is fair. Sequence of returns risk is real. If you retire early and the market drops 40% in your first 2 years of retirement, your portfolio may not recover the way the historical models suggest. This is why most serious FIRE practitioners keep 1 to 2 years of expenses in cash or bonds as a buffer. Healthcare is the biggest practical challenge for early retirees in the United States. Before Medicare eligibility at 65, you're on your own. Private health insurance for a family can run $12,000 to $24,000 per year, a significant portion of a lean FIRE budget. This alone pushes many people toward Barista FIRE, where part-time work comes with employer health coverage. Lifestyle inflation is the silent killer of FIRE plans. As income rises, spending tends to rise with it. Every dollar of lifestyle inflation doesn't just increase your spending today, it permanently raises your FIRE number and pushes your timeline further out. And finally, identity. For people who derive meaning and structure from their careers, the transition to early retirement can be psychologically difficult. The FIRE community is full of people who retired and then returned to work. Not because they had to, but because they needed to. FIRE is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a get-rich-slowly but much faster than everyone else scheme. It requires discipline, intentionality, and a willingness to make different choices than the people around you. But the math is real. The framework is proven. And the outcome, a life where work is optional, is available to far more people than most financial advisors would have you believe. Calculate your FIRE number this week. Figure out your savings rate and start closing the gap. That's the long position. If this video helped you see retirement differently, subscribe. We post every Tuesday and Thursday. See you in the next one.